Before we start on ordinances on final reading, Dr. Burrs, will you hit your light for me? Let's see if we can get that cue. Mr. IT, I've got no command button for Q. I'm currently
See if that does anything. Does that
mic override. All right, Q.
Q enable? Does that do it?
Everybody good? Everybody on? Dr. Burrs? Okay, we're good. Thank you.
Is it on now? Yeah, now it's on.
I show you active.
Okay. I'd like to add one more thing to the agenda, please. Perhaps at the end, under other business, just some follow-up relative to budget.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Would it be okay with you if we did that right before committee
Tonight?
at 3:30?
Oh, at 3:30 is, yeah.
We have a Parks and Public Works.
Yes, that's
Will that work
fine.
for you?
Thank you, sir.
Yes, absolutely. Madam Clerk, if you'll help remind me, Dr. Burrs wants to, before we go into committee. We have ordinances on final reading this evening. There are items under planning, A, B, and C. We have reviewed all of these items, and we have an amended version for item C. Councilman Henderson, anything else on that particular item you need to add, sir?
I have a question. Comment would be,
Yes, sir, please.
Dan, I guess you'd be the correct person to ask. Last week when I was asking some questions about the Tucker Baptist rezone, I mentioned that there wasn't really anything that invited these residents to go outside and walk. I was leading up to and never got to the amount of parking that we were requiring a senior living facility to have. Why do we need so much parking in front of this building with the church parking lot there, with the fact that these are seniors? Is there a way that we can reduce the number of parking? Now, I'm not suggesting that we offer an amendment tonight, because I understand they're on a pretty tight deadline, but I think that we need to look at the amount of parking that we are requiring for this development, and to see if we can't replace it with something a little more attractive that's more inviting to go outside and walk.
I think staff would agree with that and would support meeting with the applicant and the church and talking about some options. I did bring up with them a month or so ago that the church next door has a big parking lot, and sometimes you can work out a joint use agreement where there's certain times there's parking shared. I think adding some kind of activity or walking trail or something would be something else that we could possibly add during site planning. So happy to work with them and come back to council in the future if we can work something out.
Okay, so it is something you feel like that we could work out where we're not requiring
Absolutely.
such a huge amount of asphalt out in front of this building.
Absolutely. I will definitely. take
Okay,
that forward.
all right, great, thanks.
Councilman, thank you for bringing that up. Looking at the site plan, and I reviewed a few in my day, it was kind of perplexing to me to see all that parking available, let's just say Monday through Saturday,
Yeah.
respectively, and how we can't accommodate or be flexible in those parking space arrangements to allow for either better site plan that fits the neighborhood's concerns. So thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions on planning items A through C? We'll move into resolutions. If you had a chance to look at, Ms. Julia, you sent out on May 23rd a Cliff Notes version of the egg changes. Does anyone have any questions? I did read through them. We have a health benefits grievance, PTO, overtime compensation post offer, and also a spelling of and grammar cleanup section. If council has any concerns about that item. Okay. Julia, good job. Moving into the mayor's office, we have an appointment of Nathan Bird, Shawana Kendrick, Jackie Dowell, and Marcus Jones this evening. And I believe, Mr. Anderson, you sent out all of the applications for council to review and contact you with any questions. You want to say anything at this point?
No, sir, Chairman. That's correct.
Okay, very good. Then we will move into purchasing. If you'll take a look, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 items this evening. And any questions or comments on our purchasing items? I am seeing none. You've done your homework, council. Thank you very much. Moving into June 7th, we have at the couple of items under finance. I don't know if we're familiar with those or not, but if you'll take a look under finance, we do have the capital budget. We have the operation budget. We have human resources, mayor's office, parks and outdoors, items which will be covered in parks and committee. I do have a question for staff on item L. I have a note that I believe Madam Vice Chair Kiki had asked, sorry, I had to do it, about the $60,000 and the return, I guess, ROI. If Jody, you want to address that?
Yes. So I know the question was really centered on why we're paying these costs if there are already court fees associated with it. I did get an answer from our team and from Hamilton County. So right now, the cost of the city contract is necessary to offset the cost of diverting the workforce away from county routes, which is reimbursed by the Tennessee Department of Transportation. So essentially, the cost is largely driven by the cost of transporting folks to and from locations. And so whenever they go to city routes away from county routes, it's not reimbursed. And so we end up paying our share for that. So just wanted to clarify that. And I'm happy to answer any other questions y'all might have, but that's my understanding of why the cost is there.
Get your light. Madam Vice Chair.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, the money that we're putting into this is to offset the cost to transport those who are incarcerated to do pickup. Is that right?
That's right. The vast majority of the cost is required to transport and supervise the offenders.
Okay. And then my other question was, because they pay fees already, and Councilwoman Coonrod, I just took this from, I know last year you had a lot of questions about this as well. So the fees they pay are like court costs and things like that. So that is not included in this.
No, and I would imagine that the cost of the program exceeds the court fees. And of course, we wouldn't want to dramatically increase the cost of those court fees in order to cover the cost of the program, even though the program is obviously useful in helping keep our city beautiful.
Okay. And my other question was about, because we are paying a part of this and it is done in the city, do we have an option to select what streets or what districts or whatever that the individuals are doing their public service on?
Yes, I believe so. We have the ability with our Department of Public Works and our Transportation Division to make those requests.
Okay. And then how do we make, I guess that's an email, but you just email that information, that'd be fine.
Absolutely. Happy to.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jody. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, for following up on that. Joe, if I can go back into item C, I think I mentioned this at 9:30, just those appointments to split into 2 separate appointments under the mayor's office, please. Any other questions for June 7th? Council, I'm not seeing any at this point. If you would take out future considerations and let me know if you have any questions on items in future considerations. I am not seeing any questions for future considerations. If you have any, please let staff know, and they'll be glad to get you the information that you need. So moving into department reports, we have none. So I'm sorry, Councilwoman Coonrod, I see your light.
And her team about
what's the plan moving forward to kind of help reduce the violence that's happening in our communities? I mean, we just had a press conference about it on Sunday, but it's really concerning. We've had this, I know Troy and his crew, and like they've been working on this since we had the VRI back then with him, with Patterson at that time. But I mean, what are we really doing? Like, I just kind of feel like they're not effective right now. And we got Uncle Joe that's not even being used. Like, I mean, I would like to know why he's not even being considered or used. He go to the Cahaba Center that's got every gang member that goes to this recreation center, and he's not being used in no other way. Like, he's not even included. I don't see him at the meetings that I'm invited to, like to even have a conversation around it. I mean, I'm just want to know, what are we going to, because it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. The police can only do so much. ARP funds isn't going to fix it. What are we doing? What about, how are we using our YFD sites? I mean, I just want to know, like, what's the plan moving forward so we can communicate to our constituents, because they emailing and calling us for answers and we can't even get answers.
Yeah.
So,
But before you answer that, Chief, and I do want you to address Councilwoman Coonrod's concerns, we're in agenda session about items that are on our agenda. Councilwoman Coonrod, would you like to see this as a report to council as a department? If so, I would be more than happy to go ahead and schedule that right now. Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, thank you, Councilwoman. So, as you know, and you were, and thank you for being present at the mayor's remarks at the Police Services Center, and Chairman Ledford and Vice Chairwoman Dotley were also present. We obviously recognize the need for action as an administration, and I can say that one of the things that is in your budget, that it is in the budget proposal that will make a significant difference, is a position, a director of gun violence prevention and public safety, that will help align and coordinate all of the assets that we have in our non-enforcement side of the city of Chattanooga, to make sure everybody, like folks like Uncle Joe, are on the same page. And I know Dr. Lambert has spoken and coordinates with Uncle Joe, but obviously we can use more of our resources more effectively, and having a dedicated person for that is going to be really, really important. And it's something that Dr. Lambert has been asking for, and I'm eager to see that approved. Another, I think, a significant part of our response is, and we'll be discussing this separately from the budget, is Mayor Kelly had always planned on, and we saw this from the Chattanooga Equitable Recovery Commission's framework, but certainly the events of this weekend underscored the need for it, to make a historic investment into youth mentorship programs, to find ways to engage youth where they are at. And I anticipate that in the next couple of weeks, you will see a, once again, historic level of funding for youth mentorship, given to that is now possible due to the high level of federal investment that we have access to. But we just have to make the choice to make those investments. And I think that that's what this mayor is going to do. I imagine you'll also hear from Chief Murphy this evening at the 6 o'clock meeting to talk a little bit about this particular instance and also how we're responding. But everybody within the mayor's office has been engaged over, not only over the weekend, but before, on public safety questions. And certainly over the last 48 hours, this has consumed the way that we've been thinking about the problem. And we're not resting until we find some answers.
Councilwoman, next Tuesday on June 7th, we have a strategic planning session, but we also have our budget deliberation time. And in fairness to the request to Dr. Lambert for a presentation, can I offer up the 21st in strategic planning? Does that give staff enough time to formulate some thoughts formally and respond to us? Meanwhile, understanding we are not ignoring this by any stretch of the imagination, but I want to be able to provide time and also opportunity for the budget to move through its course. You're still active, ma'am.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, that would be perfectly fine. I just every year around this time, it seemed like I get that same speech every year because we're literally, I mean, we're losing generation of kids, like whole households, and we keep screaming, "Oh, it's gun control," when we know that it's bigger than guns. And I'm gonna speak specifically about my community, Black community. Is bigger than that. And I hear you with the mentorship stuff, but our families are broken and we need more than that. We need more than somebody pulling up in a suit to say, I want to help you. We got the wrong people trying to come save us. We need people who can speak the language, people who can understand. I give you the same spiel every time. You can't just have people that are afraid to go to the Woodlands or to the West Side or an Alton Park. That's not reaching the kids that need to be reached. And if we keep putting this Band-Aid over it and not really truly addressing it, we're gonna continue to have a problem. But we also, listen, I'm gonna schedule a meeting with you to talk about it because this personal for me. We ain't doing it right. I'm just being honest with you. We not doing it right. We not having the effect that we need. And I feel like that the administration, I'm just being honest with you, I feel like we don't want to say what needs to be said in fear of people saying, oh, you're racist, you're only talking about Black people, or you this or you that. We got families that's dying, whole families. But I'm going to schedule that time to talk to you because we need Troy and everybody else doing it right. We can't keep just allowing people to kill each other like that.
I appreciate your remarks, Councilwoman. And I will highlight and underscore the fact that Mayor Kelly did reference not only the fact that one of the differences between the last 20, 30 years, whenever, kids have always gotten into fights, and a big difference is now they're showing up with firearms instead of having, a couple bruises here or there. You have bodies that have been left behind. That's a big problem. And I think that this administration is going to continue to talk about the dangerous impact of illegal guns in our communities. But Mayor Kelly also did speak about the fact that parents have a responsibility to make sure their kids, they know where they are, that they have, if they know their kids have access to firearms, to intervene or to call the police. Those are things that you're going to hear this administration continue to talk about, and we are clear-eyed about the challenges. And this is not a problem that can be solved by one or two people, but we do know that the last time that we spoke about this, and also Dr. Lambert came up here and talked a little bit about our public safety strategy. We asked for some specific things in this budget that we believe are going to be a big help. And again, we're looking and are appreciative of the alignment that we have from City Council for supporting those kinds of positions and investments, because we believe they can really make a difference. So we appreciate that, Councilwoman, and I look forward to that conversation.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Madam Clerk, will you please make sure on our strategic planning for June 21st, we have a position open for a departmental report from Dr. Lambert, please. And in the meantime, we will continue that conversation, Councilwoman. I promise you. At this point, I would like to bring in Dr. Burrs. If you would hit your light, I think we had an update on our budget process. Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay.
All right, now? Okay, good. So there were some questions left unanswered last week relative to the library's budget, and I've asked administration if they would like a few minutes to speak on that today. So Joda, thank you very much for coming to the table and speaking with council. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to start off by acknowledging and expressing my appreciation to council, particularly Councilwoman Knoll and others who I think did draw a line and said we do need to make some changes, and that was heard, and we appreciate that. With respect to the library, a couple of things that I want to make clear as we move forward. One of the things that we heard very clearly from this council was that we need a change in the overall structure of the library, and we have been looking hard at that. And what I will say is that this administration is committed, and we will change the structure where possible. And if it's not possible under state law or under our current state law, we are open to pursuing changes through our delegation. So we are interested in doing that, and not only interested, we will do that. A couple of other things. I think there was some discussion about a historical designation for the downtown library location, and I wanted to say clearly that that kind of designation would require the approval of the city as well as the county. And right now, we are not in support of that, and we are not pursuing that. So that is not a decision that we are pursuing at this time. Next is that it is our understanding that under city code and state law, our library should be presenting purchases under our standard procurement procedure to this body. And we've directed the library to begin doing that. So they will begin following all purchases, our purchasing process to bring all purchases over $25,000 to this body. And then finally, in the year that, as we proceed with changes to its governance structure and begin exploring what's possible and then getting over any hurdles to do that, I think that it is prudent for us at this time, and this is something the mayor has directed our team to do, is to really freeze any new spending or initiatives beyond what's proposed in this budget, so that way we can begin engaging council and the community in the way to best and most effectively serve the entire community, to create a library, to ensure that we have a library system that meets the needs of our entire community. So those are the major things that we are doing in response to some of the concerns that we heard from council, which we, again, I want to specifically thank you all for highlighting, and I think will help make a better library system and in a more equitable community as we proceed. So I did want to, I'm happy to answer any questions, but I did want to outline a few of those items.
Councilwoman Knoll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Joe. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, thank you. I'm glad to see that some changes are in progress. It did not sit well with me, my spirit, and nothing else in there last Tuesday morning when I heard what I heard. What I don't understand is how long this has been allowed to go on without someone stepping up to the plate and addressing those issues. My next thing is, what does the library provide for the city, the underserved neighborhood, even the neighborhoods that the west side that's close to them that would constitute a $7.3 million funding to them? If that's the case, every child we have in this city should be reading on 6 levels above their grade.
We completely agree. I want to say that, it is going to take an active partnership with this council. Again, this is the work ahead of us is as we begin to explore what's possible under a new governance structure, how we engage this council in ensuring that our library is a critical part of our the way we think about an education system. And that's innovative and new. And I think that the questions you're raising, Councilwoman, are vitally important and something this administration is willing to follow through on.
Because I do not understand. First of all, let me say this. Let me back up. I'm not saying do not fund the library. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, does the library need to be funded to the tune of 7.3? We have our youth and family development centers that do a lot a lot for the areas, the underserved areas in the areas that they're located. I don't know what has been presented or what has been shown that they have given us information to show us that I mean, you got a big bang for your buck. I just don't see it. So, and another thing, I don't see where the library fits into the mayor's One Chattanooga plan, which is a major initiative. I don't understand that. At some point, this justice scale needs to be balanced. It just does not need to continue to drag. And you just place the money there and just willy-nilly with it and do as you please. To say something to Councilwoman Coonrod concern, is it not possible? Why is it not possible to have funds from the library and give to the kids? Is that possible?
So I think that right now, under the governance structure that we have a very limited amount of flexibility on how we use those dollars once they are allocated to the library. I think what this administration is committed to doing is changing the governance structure, and if that requires changing state law to do it, getting us to a place where we could examine and explore exactly those questions. But getting to a library that serves our community and is right-sized alongside the investments that we make into our community centers, which we are a very vital part of our strategy as an administration. We have bringing everything from medical services to community centers to thinking about ways that we engage our youth. Those are all really, really important. But I think that there's a first step here, which is, and then that's what I wanted to be here representing the administration to say that we are committed to doing, which is changing the governance structure so we can open those conversations in the first place.
Okay, so this is, I have a couple other things to say. I had a whole list of things to go through, but you know what? I'm going to cut it short. I got a couple of other things to say. I know reading, a young lady once told me, reading may be a fundamental, but poverty is and I'm going to leave it blank, and everyone in here can put whatever adjective in there that they would like to have to finish that. So my thing is, I'm still having a little problem here. Let me watch something. So let me ask you one other question, because I'm hearing you say that you're at a position where you can't do anything about it right now. Can it be removed from the budget?
The entire library? I
For
would,
the moment? Yeah.
I think that the five of you could decide not to fund the library. That is something that five of you could do. I don't think I can say confidently that this administration would not recommend that, and it would cause significant disruptions to services available to our residents right now. But I guess that would be a question for the city attorney, but my understanding is that this council can do whatever it wants whenever with regards to the budget. That's fully within your authority.
Okay. The only other thing I want to say right now is, if I ask for information, I would appreciate to at least be given the proper respect to have that information given to me. I do not need to be chastised or my hand hit because I asked for that information. I do not appreciate you telling me that it's not protocol, my understanding, that I have to go a certain way to get this information. I was going about it the way that I was told to go about it, which was to the department heads. But when you send a response to me that says, I prefer, where does I fit into this whole big picture here? I doesn't carry a lot of weight with me when there is a whole big picture here. Whatever happened to we and us? But if it's your preference, but you know what? That's a whole nother conversation to have with a whole nother group of people at another time. And I do plan on having that.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I have two other lights, Councilwoman Coonrod and then Vice Chair Dottley, please.
Chair, Councilwoman Marvin, you said a lot, but what I will say is this, I disagree on a couple of things that, one, I most definitely wouldn't be on board for not funding our public library. I'm not sure if you've had the opportunity or not to talk to Corinne, but I would suggest that email her, schedule a meeting, go take a tour, because our library, it does a lot. In fact, it does more than what our YFD centers do, to be honest with you. Like, those kids in the West Side, they prefer to go to the Chattanooga Library versus the West Side Community Center. On the second floor, it's totally dedicated to babies. From the time they exit the womb up until they 2 and 3, they got a whole floor. A lot of people go there and they're babysitting their kids. In fact, since school is out, I use the library every day for paying. It saves me money from having to pay for a camp, because the library provides you with all kind of services. They got entrepreneurship, they got computer classes, you got access to everything. And one thing that we don't publicly talk about is that you can actually check out tools. If you need tools for anything to do, if you need to cut grass, landscape, whatever it is that you need to do, you can go right to the public library and you can get it. Just by having a library card, you got access online to different classes and everything there. And then not only that, you entering campaign season, you can go right to that public library. You can press out you some shirts for free. All you got to do is bring a shirt. Like, it's all kind of stuff that's an added value in this library for our communities. Like, I missed last week, so the 7.3 million, they may not need exactly that, but the funds, even Avondale, like that library that they have there. So I think it is some use, the things that we do. But I would just strongly recommend just taking a tour of it. Go down there and see what our services that they have. I mean, I do hear you with your frustration though, but the library is an asset. And I hope you guys continue to champion that it stay. In fact, we need libraries in all of our YFD sites. So I just wish you could see it from my point of view, because I'm a parent that use the public library. I take advantage of the free resources because I'm raising a kid. So my income can't afford to pay for camp at YMCA, but she can go downtown to the library every day, even on Saturdays from 9 to 6. Give me time to go grocery shop or whatever. So I hate you feel that way, but just please go and check it out.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And while I highly encourage debate on the budget, we are scheduled next week, just as a reminder, to schedule debate on a public notice at 2:00. So if there's anything else that we can address at that time, the public will have an opportunity to be here and hear our remarks, because we've announced that debate in public. Although, let me stress, this is always an opportunity for us to debate while we're in an open meeting. Vice Chair Dottley, I believe your light is next.
Yes, I did want to respond to Gender as well in regards to the library. I'm glad that we do have. We are working on a new governance form for the library. I do want to say that I do support the library, but not in its current form. I've worked with students that we take to the library to do all type of stuff, like make T-shirts, buttons, and all those great things. But the amount of people, the amount of impact really does not weigh out to 7.2 or $7.3 million. So I think moving forward, as we're working through that governance, and I'm grateful for them, for us changing, that purchasing policies. But with that process, I hope that going into next year's budget, that we're able to see some differences and possibly reinvest those funds back into the community, as opposed to having that large building downtown with all of that space. And we say we want places for students to be, And they have plenty of space, almost on every floor for youth to be for various activities on different floors. And that the library hasn't taken any initiative in what is currently going on with our youth is very saddening, because some of these things, the activities and things like that, they could be at the library. They could be doing various activities, partnering with downtown businesses and doing a variety of things. But we have to go and ask them to do that, and they're not taking the initial step besides what they're doing inside of their walls. So again, I am for the library. I utilize the library. I know plenty of kids that utilize the library, but even with that, $7.3 million is a lot of money to give to the library and then turn around and not know what they're doing. So thank you for the changes y'all are making. I did just want to voice that and put that on the record.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Councilwoman Hill?
The people of District 2 are strong supporters of the library and of our arts programming within the city of Chattanooga. Arguably, it's some of the greatest benefit that our citizens within District 2 get for the tax dollars that we pay beyond infrastructure and safety. So I think it's exciting to consider how the library over the next several years may change and become more robust in terms of its programming and its access citywide. I would love to see that. As I look at the benchmarking against other cities, what I notice is we have very few branches in comparison to the budget. So I think we have a lot of opportunity there. I think the people of District 2 would like to see the library become even more prolific in its offerings, not less. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hill. Councilwoman Knoll, I see a light from Councilman Henderson. He has not had an opportunity to weigh in on this yet. And according to our council rules, it's always a good idea to go around and make sure everyone has. So if you don't mind, if you'll hold your light just for a moment. Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay today on the,
Oh, yeah, there we go. Joe, the one thing and the comment I made, I think last week was, even when I think about the building that the library is in, when I think about that simple but profound statement, make the most of what you have. I don't feel like that we are making the most of what we have in that location or in that building. Now, whether that becomes, as Councilwoman Hill says, a more prolific library, or if we animate that in some other ways, I don't know what that exactly looks like, but I think that needs to be part of the conversation that we have when we look at governance, when we look at the whole thing. We need to be getting the most out of that building that we can possibly get, and I can say that we are not doing that currently.
Thank you, Councilman. I absolutely agree that every asset the city has should be used to its fullest extent to benefit and impact the most number of people possible. And so that feedback is really valuable. And as we begin to look at the governance structure that would allow more direct involvement in the library, that's absolutely something we'll take a look at.
Thank you.
thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Knoll, you want to hit your light for me one more time, please? Okay, thank you. No other comments or lights. I'll just wrap up this part of the conversation with, in looking at the library and talking to some board members of the library, I made my concerns for the East Brainerd area, zip code 37421, and there's practically zero presence. Actually, there is zero presence of the library in 37421, the entire eastern part of our city, and we're the most dense district in the entire city. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement. I want to thank the administration for recognizing it. I want to thank Councilwoman Knoll for being passionate and bringing this to our attention. And I think it is time for a change. And I think together we're going to do that. And I believe we have the not only the passion, but the will and desire to do this for our city, working together. So thank you. Councilwoman Burrs, that kind of wrapped up your budget. Did you get everything you needed in there before we adjourn into committee reports? Okay, all right. Then very good. So at this time, Chairman Hester, are you ready for Parks and Out? All right. Yes, sir. I see your light. You snuck in there, sir. Wait for the delay.
I didn't want to bring this up with the budget and the library, but as you know, Dan has hosted a series of focus group meetings for our short-term vacation rental districts, and now he is ready to compile all of that report and present them to the ad hoc committee. And I would like to announce a meeting, and I'll do it again at 6 o'clock, but I certainly want to get it out to the public next Tuesday, the 7th at 12:30.
Tuesday, the 7th.
Tuesday, the 7th
Uh-huh.
at 12:30. We will reconvene our ad hoc committee in the conference room,
Okay.
council conference room, and go over the findings from our focus groups.
Very good. Madam Clerk, will you please note that in our committee meetings?
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman, for that, and Dan, for your hard work on keeping that conversation going. If you'll make sure that adds into our agenda, that would be great. Chairman, are you ready, Hester? All right, swap here.
Thank you, Chairman. Welcome to Parks and Public Works. Can we accept the minutes? Okay, minutes accepted. Madam Clerk, can you read Resolution F and G?
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to award contract number Y21-024201 to Wilder Contracting LLC of Harrison, Tennessee for Warner Park pool shower improvements and softball field restroom improvements in the amount of $139,788 with a contingency amount of $14,000 for a total amount of $153,788. A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to renew on-call blanket contract E19011202 for year 2 of 4 for the roof inspections, repairs, and maintenance with the following 2 vendors: Porter Roofing Contractors, Inc. of Morrison, Tennessee, and Tri-State Roofing Contractors, LLC of Chattanooga, Tennessee, for the annual amount of $250,000 total for use by all departments.
I see no hands. Can we read 7D, please?
A resolution authorizing the mayor of it or his designee to enter into a conservation service agreement for 2022 to 2023 with the Trust for Public Land and substantially the form attached for a term of 1 year from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023 for an amount not to exceed $150,000.
Chairman Leffert.
Thank you, Chairman. Wait for that delay. There we're there. So the Trust for Public Land Director, Noel Durant, has been working very efficiently with trying to arrange meetings with most of council members via Zoom. I know that's happened across the dais, and it's a wonderful opportunity for us to understand just how valuable the Trust for Public Land Partnership can be for us. If you have any questions, though, I would highly suggest that you reach out to Julia and or Ryan, because there's a lot that we can benefit through their expertise. And I know that Scott, I think I saw Scott here. Scott, do you have anything you want to add to that? Because I'm a big fan of TPL. I know what the work they've done, followed them for years. And I cannot stress enough importance on this relationship and this partnership with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Can you read E, please?
A resolution authorizing the mayor as designee to amend the Conservation Services Agreement for 2021 to 2022 with the Trust for Public Land and substantially the form attached for the amount not to exceed $27,500.
F, please.
A resolution authorizing the waiver of park rental fees for Chattanooga Presents in support of Pops on the River for the dates of June 30th, July 1st, July 2nd, and July 3rd, 2022, to be held in Coolidge Park for the amount of $2,750.
G, please.
A resolution to accept proposals for blanket contracts for project development representative and management staff augmentation for 1 year with an additional 3 one-year renewable options with Volcor Inc., Reagan Smith Associates Inc., Cornerstone Program Management Group LLC, and Oak May Development Group LLC in the services category applied for professional services estimated at $1 million for the amount of $250,000 to each awardee.
Thank you. Public Works and Transportation, can you read Ace, please?
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to enter into a construction agreement with the Electric Power Board of Chattanooga to improve the electrical service for the Moccasin Bend wastewater treatment plant warehouse project in the amount of $170,000.
No lights. I, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to award contract number Y20029-202, gym floor replacement for the North Chattanooga Community Center to Wilder Contracting LLC of Harrison, Tennessee, in the amount of $99,730 with a contingency amount of $10,000 for a total contract amount of $109,730.
J, please.
A resolution authorizing the Department of Public Works Transportation to erect commemorative secondary street name signs on North Market Street from Sawyer Street to Lawn Street, designating this section of North Market as commemorative Hattie Darby Street, as Ms. Darby founded the Hill City Neighborhood Association and was instrumental in the Stringer Ridge project.
Councilman Henderson.
Here at that meeting, in the event that the family wants to come to that meeting, we talked about maybe presenting it at the next Hill City Neighborhood Association meeting, but. Okay, okay. Okay, all right, thanks.
J, please.
A resolution authorizing the Department of Public Works Transportation to J or K?
K.
Okay, okay, I was like, I think I just read this. A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to award contract number S20009-201 detention basin 38th Street to Thomas Brothers Construction Company, Inc. of Hickson, Tennessee, in the amount of $628,842.50 with a contingency amount of $60,000 for a total contract amount of $688,842.50.
I see no hands. L, please.
A resolution authorizing Mayor Kelly to execute an agreement with Hamilton County for the Courts Community Service Program to schedule workers to conduct litter pickup on city streets over fiscal year 2023 in the amount of $60,000.
M, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for Department of Public Works to renew for year 4 of 4 for the professional services for continuing environmental consulting services for asbestos, lead, indoor air quality, and other environmental asset assessments. On-call blanket contract number E19002-301 with the following 8 consultant firms: S&ME Inc., Alternative Actions Inc., Spectra Tech Inc., KS Ware and Associates LLC, GLE Associates Inc., NSAFE Inc., Wood Environment and Infrastructure Solutions Inc., and Frost Environmental Services LLC, based upon the annual amount of $350,000 for use by all departments.
I see no hands. Do we have any other committees? We're going to adjourn to 6. Thank you.